So I didn't want to shivering. Plus downstairs, if I do it in my basement, it's cold down there too, so.
Need to be unmuted. There you go, sir.
There you go. Thank you, Margaret.
You're welcome.
I don't know how to do this, guys. I'll just be frank with you. Everybody's back. She is 6:59.
Wait.
Ready?
No, I'm not quite ready. Wait a minute.
You're supposed to do yours first, Margaret, then mine.
I know that's like the I would do it on the airplane with the mask falling down. I want to make sure everybody else was okay first.
7 bells.
Back.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Call the evening meeting Isabella County Board of Commissioners to order. Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag
of the United
of the United
States
States of America
and to the
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
Justice.
justice
with liberty and justice for all.
I think that goes good. Get any better? Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Green,
Here, I'm in the county building, room 225, Isabella County, City of Mount Pleasant.
Commissioner Engler,
Here, I am remote from my home in Deerfield Township, Isabella County, Michigan.
Commissioner Jelezinski,
Here, remote from my home in Chippewa Township, Isabella County, Michigan.
Commissioner Horton,
I am present. I am remote. I am in my principal residence, Union Township, Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Isabella County.
Commissioner Moreno,
Participating remotely from my residence in Mount Pleasant, Michigan, Isabella County.
Commissioner Swaney,
Here, attending remotely from Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
and Commissioner Hope.
Present, attending remotely from my home in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
All present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Item number 3 is approval of the agenda. We don't have any presentations or special boards or commissions. On the consent agenda, is there any corrections? Seeing nobody with any hands raised for corrections, that moves us on Finance and Administration.
Finance and Administration Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Human Resource Committee.
Human Resources and Public Works Committee is all set, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We didn't have any intergovernmental affairs this afternoon, and no administrator controller issues. There's no unfinished business, excuse me, or new business. Motion to approve the agenda as presented is in order.
Motion to approve Horton.
Support.
Hope.
Been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Moving on to item 4 is general public comment. Nicole, is there anybody on the phone that would like to speak, please?
We do have one caller tonight, Mr. Chairman. At this time, they do not have their hand raised. So this is the time when they would press *9 on their keypad to raise their hand. Chairman, I do not see their hand raised.
Thank you, Nicole. We'll move on then. There's no presentation, special reports, no appointments, commissions. Commissioner Swaney, would you like to read the consent agenda, please?
Yes, Chair Green. Consent agenda. Motion reads, move to approve and place on file the November 3rd, 2020 regular meeting minutes, the November 10th, 2020 Finance and Administration Committee meeting minutes, the November 10th, 2020 Human Resources and County Affairs Committee meeting minutes, and the October 29th, 2020 routine personnel items.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the agenda as read. Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelezinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you. That moves us down to committee reports, finance and administration. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First up on our list is the October 30th, 2020 invoice list, the November 6th, 2020 invoice list, and the November 12th, 2020 adjustment list. Motion, move to ratify and place on file the October 30th, 2020 invoice list in the amount of $234,632.53. The November 6th, 2020 invoice list in the amount of $314,413.81. And the adjustment list dated November 12th, 2020.
Support.
And moved and supported to approve the October 30th, 2020 invoice list, November 6th, 2020 invoice list, and November 12th, 2020 adjustment list. Discussion.
Thank you. As always, the commissioners received these invoice lists by email when they first are released. We've also had a discussion with them in our Finance and Administration Committee and during our business session today. As to the October 30th, 2020, the larger ticket items, again, we receive pages on the front pages of all these are the dollar amounts that are above 5,000. Most of them, if not all, are usual course of business. We had winter tax mailing postage from the Equalization Department was one that's normally doesn't appear, but it's standard. We had our contractual with Manor Costerison. We had our medical examiner. Let's see, we had our hats payment. That was the big ticket items, some of the bigger ticket items, and our secure alarms, which we've had discussions in regards to. Those are some of the larger ones on the October 30th. The November 6th, we had, again, public defender appointments. Those are fairly common to see. Monthly medical services contract with the sheriff, which we increased just a few meetings ago. McBride Quality Care, again, with the courts and the child care, with the taking care of the use and the credit card payments. And as to the November 12th adjustment list, I believe the first one to the October 30th invoices were added all from Gordon Foods, and the November 6th invoices were added from Gordon Foods, and also some calculation errors on Commission on Aging, but those are just routine course. So nothing really out of the ordinary. That's all I have on those.
Any additional discussion? Discussion, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Moreno.
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney.
yes,
Commissioner Hope.
Yes.
Commissioner Engler.
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski.
Yes.
Commissioner Horton.
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 2 is designated assessor interlocal agreement. Motion reads, move to approve the interlocal agreement designating Peter J. Preston as a designated assessor and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the designated assessor interlocal agreement. Discussion.
So this would be an agreement between the county and the townships and the city to appoint a designated assessor to assume jurisdiction of local assessment roles in the event that a local unit fails the audit of minimum assessing requirements. It's required by Public Act 260 of 2018, which says the county must maintain an individual to serve as a county designated assessor. The agreement has to be approved by a majority of local units and then submitted to the Michigan State Tax Commission by the end of this year. Pete Preston has agreed to be that county designated assessor with no retainer fee. Being the Isabella County Equalization Manager, Mr. Preston is very familiar with all the local units in the county and their equalization history. And as he stated in the work session, it's very unlikely that we'd have any local units in the situation of needing this type of action. And there's indications if a unit is heading in that direction, and he doesn't feel that any of them are. So,
Any additional discussion? Just a question, Commissioner Hope. Did he say at any time in the future what it might be that he'd have all the townships in the city on board?
I don't know, I don't recall.
No,
It's,
I don't think so.
Okay, I just
It's
wondered,
working
it.
its way through.
Okay, working its way through. Thank you. Any additional discussion? Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Holt,
yes,
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes,
Commissioner Green.
Yes,
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
thank you.
Next up, professional services with Preston Community Services LLC. Motion reads, move to approve the Isabella County Equalization Department contract for professional services with Preston Community Services LLC effective January 1st, 2021 until December 23rd, 2023, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
support,
Been moved and supported to approve the professional services with Preston Community Services LLC. Discuss.
Our equalization department, our county assessor, they are contracted. The proposed contract is essentially the same as the previous contract that was commenced at January 1st of 2018. This is a shrinking field or a shrinking market. We at one time tried to hire somebody in this position. We were unsuccessful, and I don't think that market has gotten any better. Mr. Preston has done a great job for the county. He has held his race steady, but this time, as far as he's asked for an increase or decrease by the rate of inflation on an annual basis starting on January 21st, 2022. So again, I think it's very fair. As we mentioned in the last one, he stepped up on the interlocal agreement without charging us a retainer fee. Again, it's good to have someone that's respected and does a good job for the county. So there.
Any additional discussion? Mr. Marino, did you have your?
no, I was just adjusting my glasses.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Holt,
yes,
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes,
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes,
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
thank you.
okay, next up is item number 4, fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial management services report. Motion reads, move to accept and place on file the fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial management services report as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial management services report. Discussion.
So this is the report we get every quarter from our contracted financial management service. And a lot of these things we see are usual and customary that he works on, evaluate the county's overall business structure, evaluation and utilization of BSA software, trial court bank reconciliations, assisting with the budget process, new GASB regulations for agency funds. Number 5, the detailed analysis of wind turbine revenue, which I'll come back to a little bit. Detailed analysis of DTRF. There was a lot of grants recently from the CARES Act that were dealt with. He attends financial committee meetings, leadership team meetings. Also performs secondary analysis of all journal entries. And also provides the quarterly revenue expenditure budget versus actual reports that we see every quarter. Going back to number 5, the Mr. Krinovec put together a very nice spreadsheet of expected wind turbine revenue, and also of our expected contribution commitments and expected bonded debt payments for the jail project. So we can kind of see going forward several years what kind of revenue we might expect from the turbines, and what we can expect from debt payments. Very nice budgeting tool there, which he is going to present at a work session on December 6th. So we look forward to that.
Mr. Horton?
No, I got nothing. I'm just clicking my pen. Sorry, George.
Okay. Any additional discussion? Commissioner Hope, you gotta educate that guy. Discussion.
Nothing in the screen range. I'm sorry.
It's a good thing this wasn't a silent auction. He'd have just bought some.
I'll be quiet on that. So.
Hearing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Full number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next up, fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial report. Motion, move to accept and place on file the fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial report as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve fiscal year 2020 fourth quarter financial report. Discussion.
As we discussed earlier in the work session, this is basically just a snapshot in time, and we also use the term a blurry snapshot, or at least I'm using that term right now. A blurry snapshot, it shows an overall underbalance of being under $4 million as far as taxable revenue, but that is just a picture in time as we anticipate most of that coming in. Total revenue shortfall is showing 4.5 million. However, I'm comfortable in saying that's not going to be true with the taxes and some of the other uses. The use of the fund balance, that will probably change once we get the jail funding in place. Some of that will come out of there. Some of our charges for services are down. That's just to be expected with COVID. Over the months, we've had to refund quite a bit of money, especially out of parks and recs. We knew that was coming. We knew that was anticipated. No one likes it, but there's also been a corresponding decrease in expenses from the county departments too. So that's kind of offset some of those losses in income. Overall, I think the county's in good shape. We've got some unexpected revenue, not unexpected. We've got some planned revenue coming in, which sets us apart from other counties. We just got to be smart and educated about how we spend it. But again, this is a snapshot in time, and it does show that while it is not a great rosy picture as this goes, it could be a lot worse.
Any additional discussion? I think you summed it up real good, Commissioner Horton. In the further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Jazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Full number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, and with that will complete the work of the Finance and Administration Committee.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good job. That brings us down to Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Yeah, so we have one item, Randall Joseph Yunker Farmland Agreement Termination. The motion reads as, move to adopt resolution number 20-11-01, Randall Joseph Yunker Farmland Agreement Termination, and instruct the Isabella County Clerk to forward the approved application to the MDA Farmland and Open Space Program.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve Randall Joseph Yunker's farmland termination agreement. Discussion.
Yes, we talked about this earlier in the day. It meets the requirement of being under 2 acres at 1.13. And it also meets the requirement of having at least one structure on there when the contract was signed, which currently it does not have that structure. But when the contract was signed, it did have a barn on there. So meets all the requirements.
Any additional discussion? I just comment, I guess, I never knew his middle name, Frank.
I think a lot of them in Beale City have that Joseph as the middle.
Yeah, I know that. Hearing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Full number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that completes the work of the Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee.
Good, gentlemen. Are everybody getting tired? Do we need to take a 10-minute break for? Okay,
We are
moving on.
rolling. Let's roll.
Good job. That brings us to the Human Resource and Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Our first item is to consider approving the Fisher Annex lease for Deerfield Nature Park effective January 1st, 2021 until December 31st, 2021, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support Swaney.
Been moved and supported to approve the Fisher Annex lease at Deerfield Nature Park. Discussion.
Okay, since 1983, the county has leased 160 acres from R.J. Fisher Jr., the Fisher Annex. And the way it works out is the cost to the county for the use of the property is equal to the property taxes on the land for the year payable to Mr. Fisher, River Project LLC. This year, the tax for the property came to $4,941.71. And as we said, this has been going on for 40 years. That's a really good deal, and we really appreciate Mr. Fisher's deal with us. Anybody have any questions or
Discussion.
comments?
Yes, it's grateful that he lets us run that property in our park system for just the lease on it, which is basically the amount of money we pay for the taxes. And great piece of property, as I believe Commissioner Horton said, and we've all said this over the years, it'd be nice to acquire that piece of property someday. But that's down the road. Hearing the further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7 and the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you.
All right, item number 2 on our agenda, fiscal year 2021 Region 7 AAA contractual agreement. Motion reads, move to approve the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging contractual agreement and other required documents for fiscal year 2021 and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve fiscal year 2021 Region 7 AAA contractual agreement. Discussion.
So as we heard in our work session, this is the second year of a 3-year contractual agreement with the Region 7 Area Agency on Aging Board. They pay, are contracted to pay about 20% of the Commission on Aging's budget. It includes personal care, respite care, caregiving training, congregate, and homemaking, and several other items.
Any additional discussion? It's a big contract for Commission on Aging. Well deserved. Hearing the further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
Yes.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
Yes.
Commissioner Moreno,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 7, the nays received 0. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, we move to our final item this evening. It is to consider zoning amendment 20-02, which amends the Isabella County zoning ordinance map in section 28 of Rollin Township by rezoning with conditions the described property from agriculture buffer, which is AG3, to general agriculture, which is AG2, and authorize the county board chairperson to sign the conditional rezoning statement of conditions agreement.
Support Swaney.
Been moved and supported to approve the zoning amendment 20-02.
Okay, we've got a long time to discuss this, and I just want to say that it's the purpose of the amendment is to rezone property from agricultural buffer AG3 to general agriculture AG2 with conditions requested by the landowner Eli Hertzberger. The property is located at 10297 West Wyman Road, Blanchard, Michigan, and it's also known as tax ID 12-028-10-02-11. Okay, let's have some discussion and comments on this.
Is there any additional discussion to this? Commissioner Horton?
Yeah, it's just a couple things that I stated earlier in our business session. One, as to the planning commission members, it was a 5-3 vote on the 5 members that did vote in favor of this. I am in full support of their opinions. Respect them. It's an extremely dedicated committee, and they take their decisions and they do a lot of put a lot of thought and thoroughness into their decisions. That being said, I was one of the 3 that did not vote in favor. I am the board's representative on the planning commission. My feeling on that is 2 reasons. One, at the time I voted, I felt we had a similar opinion not too long ago on the property north of that as to the planning commission. And it was basically a similar request, and I felt that precedent was set. And subsequently after that, I took a look at what's the conditional zoning was all about as far as this property goes. This property is surrounded all around by Ag 3. And like I mentioned earlier too, in our earlier meeting, there's a saying goes that you need to own your view. And I think that in this case, the moving party, the Prestons, have a right to own their view in this case. This is not a special use permit. This is something that somebody's coming in and actually trying to change zoning. They've moved in 2 years ago. The Prestons were there a lot longer. They have every right and reason to have their expectation that their view, if you want to say it, or their expectations of their property won't change. And that, like I said, that to me is the overriding reason that I am going to be voting no on this evening.
Any additional discussion? Commissioner Engler?
Yeah, I agree with Commissioner Horton. I said it's very hard not to take the recommendations of a commission. So the amount of time and effort, especially on the zoning board, it's one of the harder ones. But like I said before, I have 2. I said, this is kind of my area, and it is such pristine agriculture. And I've always been on the side of preserving agriculture for agriculture. So that's probably my position why I will be voting against this proposal. Thank you.
Discussion. Commissioner Jalzinski?
Well, I always had this image from the Amish farms and that I know about, and some that are friends, that you always have tidy, neat pieces of property. And I did look at the photographs that I think Mr. Piper sent to all of us, and I saw the burning and the kind of disordered look of the property. And I thought, this is a kind of a situation that if I was living next to it, I wouldn't be happy. But as Mr. Neoport pointed out, that before this moves forward, there will be some additional consideration and some restrictions and decisions on how waste is going to be handled, and that takes care of my concern. So I'll be voting for this motion.
Any additional discussion? Commissioner Pope?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I'll be supporting this. A couple of reasons. One, the planning commission voted in support 5-3. Also, I think with the volunteered restrictions that Mr. Hirschberger has put forward, which excludes practically everything except running the sawmill, which is going to consist of a one bandsaw, I think won't be too big of a nuisance. And those conditions will stay with that property forever. So there's no fear of someone else buying that and then starting something else that goes along generally with Ag 2. This is just for a sawmill, which is, by the sounds of it, is not going to be a huge operation.
Any other discussion? Well, I'm going to support this. I know it's the first step in many that he's got to go through. I've always looked, as I said this earlier this afternoon, I'm a little old school, and as far as I was always concerned, the sawmill was agricultural and this is agricultural, and that's what it should be. I know there's a lot of concerns and people come out, as Commissioner Horton said, these folks are been there a couple of years and that, and they want things not to change. But Hausenbergers have been around a long time too. There's a lot of their family in that area, and again, I want to support this. Any additional discussion? Are you ready to vote? Madam Clerk, a roll call, please.
Commissioner Hope,
Yes.
Commissioner Engler,
No.
Commissioner Jelazinski,
Yes.
Commissioner Horton,
No.
Commissioner Marino,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaney,
Yes.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Whole number of votes cast was 7. The ayes received 5 and the nays received 2. Motion carried.
Thank you.
That
Madam
con- that concludes the work of the Human Resources and Public Works Committee, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good job. That brings us to intergovernmental affairs. There's nothing. The administrator controller doesn't have anything in this evening. No unfinished business or new business. We're down to item 11, which is general public comment. Nicole, is there anybody for general public comment, please?
Mr. Chairman, we still have one caller in the meeting. At this time, they still do not have their hand raised.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to announcements. Is there any announcement?
Oh, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
maybe they were late on the draw. Their hand is up now.
Okay, then let's go back to public comment and have them identify themselves, their number.
Mr. Chairman, it's Tom Weiss, counsel for Eli Hirschberger, and
Yep.
we've been monitoring the communications. We're very thankful to the board for its approval. I've been working with the Amish community now for a couple of years. It's difficult to communicate with them sometimes, not having phones, etc. They're very receptive to members of the board and certainly with staff who we've gotten to know and respect very much. We welcome any communications and an opportunity for each side to get to know themselves on a long-term basis. In any case, we're very thankful for your vote.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. Nicole, is there anybody else waiting?
No, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We'll move on now to announcements. Item 12, are there any announcements?
Chairman?
Oh. Mr.
Yeah, I made this announcement during the work session, but I think it's worth repeating here. As we all know, we had a sheriff's deputy shot responding to an armed robbery the other morning. And I just want to take this opportunity to express, let me back up a little. I'll say that person was treated and released. So we're thankful for that, that the injuries weren't terribly serious, but they could have been. And I just want to express our support and appreciation for all the men and women that work in the sheriff's department and the fact that they put their lives on the line to keep the rest of us safe.
Thank you. Mr. Horton, you have your hand up.
Yeah, 2 quick things. First, I'd like to congratulate 5 of my fellow county commissioners in being reelected. We're looking forward to serving the next 2 years. Chairman Green, I didn't include you in that because you will not be serving, but that's going to be a hard loss for this county, obviously. And secondly, I always like to close with saying, wear your mask, maintain 6 feet, and wash your hands, and just use good common sense.
Any other announcements? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Horton.
Support Jelazinski.
We're adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
In December.
Yeah,
Happy Thanksgiving.
you too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nobody bet.
It's been a long darn day.
I wish I had internet service out of my blind. I'd have probably been there.
Careful driving, Commissioner.
Thank you.